evening. Good evening, guys. Um, Unfortunately, we couldn't log in at the time. I was busy in something, college aspect work. So, what we'll be doing here in this small video is, so far we have in the previous video which I had forwarded you, we had spoken about the introduction part of financial management. We had spoken about the meaning of finance, and we had taken up the what do we say the features of financial management, and why finance management is necessary, and in the meaning definition aspect. And we had understood few two approaches, two concepts of financial management. One was traditional approach we had taken, where we had understood the aspect of only procuring the funds was the duty of a finance manager previously. Now, in the modern approach, it is not only that he has to acquire funds as well as he has to allocate funds. So, this module will more be concentrating on two important other aspects, such as one is we call it as fixed capital, and one more finance aspect we call it as working capital. So, what in this video we'll be thinking, having a view of is about fixed capital, and what are the aspects of working capital. When we meet up in the Zoom tomorrow, we'll be briefing this via online. Now, this is for the sake for you to go through the channels and this today's topics. So, what first we'll understand what do you mean by fixed capital. Fixed capital refers to total value of assets in a business which is of durable nature and used in business over a considerable period of time. I repeat, fixed asset is a part of total value of asset in a business which is referred for durable nature of business over a considerable period of time. I repeat, fixed assets are the total value of assets which is of durable in nature in a business and which lasts for a longer period of time. That is, examples might be, or fixed asset can cover land, building, machinery, furniture, etc. So, if you construct a land, that is going to be a total asset for the company. It will be a long-term asset for the company, and it will be it can be utilized for a longer period of time. Similarly, when we talk about machinery, once you purchase any machinery, you people are bound to use that machinery for, let's say, considerable period of time. Then when we use for furniture also the same aspect. So these are assets only, but when we utilize this for longer duration, let's say years together duration, we call them as fixed aspects. So the fixed capital assets, like as we said, plant and machinery, land and buildings, furniture, these can be differentiated based on nature and size of business, and it can be also on the business what we people do or the marketers do. It can be service oriented, requires different fixed capital, and manufacturing unit requires different fixed capitals. So, in organizations, if you people, as a finance manager, when we allocate money, the fund allotment will be always first priority will be given to the fixed capital, where land, machinery, and building is necessary for the work. Then the people start allocating money for working capital. I'll tell you working capital what the meaning is on the next when we come up there. Right now, fixed capital is the total asset which is used for longer period of time and examples are your land, building, and your machinery. So why do we utilize a fixed capital, and what are the purposes to utilize fixed capital? First, to finance fixed assets. First objective, business requires fixed assets like machinery, building, furniture, etc. Finance is required to acquire these products, assets, for a long period, because such assets can be used for long period of time and they are not for resale for a short term. So you need, why do we need fixed capital? What is the significance to have fixed capital? Is to finance these fixed capitals so that the organization will start working, will start implementing its work on the aspects. First. Second, to finance the permanent part of working capital. Now, fixed capital doesn't only deal with working capital, it also deals with to finance working capital as well. Business is a continuing process. It must have certain amount of working capital also, which needed to be revamped or changed again and again. This part of working capital is of fixed or permanent nature. So the requirement is also met from long-term funds. So see how it is that the cycles of business will not be same. The life cycle how of an individual goes, similarly the life cycle of a business goes. You won't see business having the same scenarios all the time. You will see there will be different conditions, different situations of business under different circumstances. So to any organizations who only invest its money in fixed capital may not run productively, may not run effectively. So for that they finance working capital also. Certain working capital that will be fixed, like recruiting people. Recruiting people comes under working capital aspect. Why? Because the salary can't be stagnant. If anybody is showing you positivity, efficiency, if anybody is showing you growth in his life career, you have to change his payment. You have to increase his payment. So, but paying is fixed. Labors you have to pay, that is fixed. But the labor, what do we say? The labor's payment numbers, figures might change. So labors come in working capital. Payment of labors comes in working capital. But paying is fixed. You have to pay them. But the what payment you have to do, what kind, how much you have to pay, that all will be changing, ever changing, according to the business conditions, according to the business scenarios of business, and all those things. Okay. To finance growth and expansion of business. Now, any business you take, their main goal will be to set up a factory or set up an outlet where they want to run up or show up their organizations even beyond one location or beyond one country. So it is very important. If you want to grow, diversification is important, growth is important, and for that growth and expansion, for expanding your business from one particular state or district to state to national to international, you need certain amount of finance, and that finance again has to be equally divided with fixed capital and working capital. So these are three important objectives why finance capital has been put up through. The first one, to finance the fixed assets. That is the first objective, where you are supposed to buy all the fixed assets for the smooth running of organization. Second, you have to finance and promote. There are few fixed working capital activities which organization has to do. So it has to finance that fixed working capital also in the form of paying people. Then third, to finance for growth and expansion. When we talk about the factors influencing capital, fixed capital, we have three. It depends on the nature of business, it depends on nature of goods produced, and nature of technology used. Nature of products used, or business, nature of goods used, and technology. Three different types. The first one here in the factors, elaboration, nature of business. The nature and character of business determines amount of fixed capital. A manufacturing requires land, labor, building, machines. So it has to invest higher in fixed capital for a longer period of time. But a trading concern dealing washing machines will require services, basically what they are talking about, will require a small amount of fixed capital, as they do not require any buy buildings or machines, because they are just going to provide the services. Got it? So it depends on nature of business. If you are manufacturing something, producing something, you require one location, you require one layout, you require some machines to work, you require buildings where the employees come and sit and work. So you need heavy capital of heavy fixed capital. Whereas when we talk about the service sectors, then probably we people require less amount of fixed capital, because our main domain of doing business is providing services, which doesn't require much of fixed capital, but we require higher amount of working capital. Third, technology used. In heavy industries like steel, the fixed capital investment is higher. In case of business producing plastic jars, simple technology has been utilized. Then we are talking about the third aspect, how what kind of technology will be utilized in this. Steel manufacturing company, copper wire manufacturing company, nuts and bolts manufacturing company, you see a lot of technology machines are being utilized, because manually you can't sit and do, and you can't achieve productivity, can't meet the standards manually what the company gives you. So it is important that you take the aid or help of technology and you do that. So steel manufacturing company, it can be copper manufacturing company, automobile spare parts manufacturing company. All these people who are into this manufacturing aspects should see that they invest a little heavier in technology. Other than this, like for restaurants and for e-commerce kind of business, we do not require not e-commerce, for any people who are providing consultancy or providing just a service aid to the people, may not require huge amount of technology there, investment in technology there. So fixed capital will we'll look into these three: what kind of business we have, what kind of goods we are producing, and what technology we are using. So these three factors will be your fixed capital. When we talk, so this is small little aspect of fixed capital. Fixed capital is one which is like land, building, machinery. We took up three objectives of fixed capital. Objectives of fixed capital will be to finance the fixed objects, to work on fixed working capital, and third, to work on to finance on growth and expansion. Right? These are the factors. On the contrary side, when we people speak, is the working capital. Working capital is the opposite way. It is refers to the cash a business requires day in and day out. It requires, let's say, supply of raw materials, so providing remunerations to laborers, probably converting raw materials into finished goods, promotion, advertisement. All this requires working capital, investment in working capital. Especially today, if you people see, more in this, let's say out of 100%, 100 rupees, 70 rupees is put in fixed working capital and 30% is put in fixed capital, because that much amount of importance for working capital aspect, because you need promotions, you need communication, you need people to work, you need all these aspects. So for that, working capital requirement is huge. So according to the definition, one of the definition is working capital, the amount of funds is necessary to cover the cost of operating the enterprise. I repeat, the amount working capital is the amount of funds necessary to cover the cost of operating, that is cost of operating of an entire enterprises day in and day out. It can be changing, the price of a supplier can change from one day to another day. Labor payments can change from 1 month to another month. So you have to be investing more, I would say, in working capital rather than a fixed capital. So this is the meaning, this is the definition of working capital. Now, what are the features that distinguish working capital from fixed capital? Short-term needs. Fixed capital are being utilized for long-term purpose. We use it for very long term, let's say 5 years, 3 years, 10 years, maybe sometimes for more than 10 years also. Whereas working capital are targeted for minute needs, short-term needs. We don't want them for longer time because the business activities keep on changing and working capital needs to be changed often. So short-term needs, whenever you have planned out any short-term objectives, it is very important that you invest properly in working capital aspect. Second feature, circular movement. When the business activities are not following one particular path. Now, for example, recession. Now, how is our life cycle? Same. Childhood, we call it teenage, youth, mid-age, and the old age. Similarly, the business also will go through different phases. The phase go through where they have been introduced in the market, where they see a growth, where they see the highest publicity and highest purchase with the product, and the decline also. So different circular of business requires different strategies in working capital. Working capital shouldn't be same for all cycle business, all kinds of movement. Business will not remain stagnant. It keeps on moving, either boom or the depression. So under boom, what you have to do, and under depression, what you have to do, that investment in working capital as a finance manager should need to analyze. Okay, that is second. Element of permanency. Though your working capital is short term, but the money or the investment required is permanent. Though it is for 3 months, let's say for a quarter, 3 months, but again next quarter also you require working capital. You can't say that this working capital we are done, this quarter we have done working capital, we are done for the business, for the investment in working. No, investment in working capital should go on continuously, but as I said, for one particular short-term quarters, 3 months, 4 quarters. For one quarter, this is done. Second, 3 months. Third, 3 month. Fourth, 3 month quarter. So at the moment one quarter change, you need to strategize again on the working capitals. That doesn't mean that working capital is finished or completed. It goes on. Element of fluctuation. Now, as I was talking about in the business cycle, what kind of fluctuation it is, how frequently is the fluctuation going on, depends on that. Your working capital needs to be strategized. If business is seeing a rigorous process of fluctuation, you need to see you are strategized. Working capital has to be pretty much aggressive. If the working capital is taking the business cycle is taking normal fluctuations, then you have to follow your normal part of plan, which is to follow. So you need to see as a business in working capital whether the business is seeing a larger fluctuation or a moderate fluctuation. Then next is risky. Always that whenever your investment in fixed funds invested in fixed capitals get locked up for a long period of time, because you can't do anything, because you have invested in fixed capital, you can't take it away. Whereas in fixed capital, these are for short-term purpose, and you can get away with the investment, or you can get away with these things at a shorter notice. But whereas in the fixed capital, it takes huge amount of time. Then special accounting system not needed. Whereas in fixed capital, investment for long-term assets becomes necessary. It also becomes necessary to adopt certain certain financial terminologies, just like depreciation is one on the assets. Building gets scrapped, machines get scrapped, furniture gets scrapped. So you need to add depreciations to that. Whereas for working capital, there are no such. You can't add depreciations to an employee or depreciation to a labor. There's no such thing fund as right now. So no accounting or no special terminologies are required for working capital, but for fixed capital there are. So this is a basic understanding between fixed capital and working capital. I repeat, working capital is one which is required for business requires for circulating finance from day-to-day purpose. Payment of salaries, incentives and all, it comes under working capital. Then features are that it is short term, it doesn't go for long term purpose. Circular movement. Then third, it will be like permanency, it have to be there in investment, not on the figure. Then element of fluctuation, what extent of fluctuation is there. Then next is less risky compared to fixed capital, and no special accounting system is required. So these are the basic understanding between fixed capital and working capital. So this is the basic introduction. In the further sessions, what we'll be doing is we'll be seeing the classification and different kinds of working capital, and this module completely will take over working capital from here on. Fixed capital only was introduction part. Baki will all be taking into working capital. Okay. So this was the video which I was about to discuss in the session today, which unfortunately couldn't happen. Kindly go through this and we'll see you in the next session. Thank you.